talk about the 5 most common different knitting styles. And I got the idea for this video not because someone asked me a direct question, but because in different videos where I'm demonstrating different knitting styles, there will always be comments from people who say, oh, this is the way that I knit, I didn't know that that was the name for it, or yeah, that's usually what happens. So I thought if we had all the different knitting styles in one video and to match them up with the names, that would help people. What I'm going to cover here are maybe the 5 most common and using the common names for them. If there's something that I've missed, feel free to add it in the comments. These are, there are different names for things. I'm going to throw out what the names that most of us use, at least in the industry, most of the time. And well, I want to cover my bases here because I'm sure there are other ways of doing things, and I'm going to try to do my best in this video to cover all of them, but I might not hit it. This video is sponsored by Knitter's Pride. I am using their Platina Cuboid Needles in this video, and you can see that there's one set missing here in my personal set because I'm using it. These are the Cuboid needles that are flat on 4 sides. They're chrome plated, they're very slick with a long taper and a sharp point, making them excellent for working complicated stitches. And this set, well, all of their interchangeable needle sets come in cases, and the pocket in the back is there for the cords and the keys and everything else you need. Very handy little set. This is definitely one of my go-to favorite needle sets, and you'll get a close-up of how beautiful and shiny these needles are when we get into the different stitches. Now, before we switch to the other camera, I want to talk about the first knitting style, and that is Portuguese knitting. And that is done with the needle either around the back of your neck or in a knitting pin attached to the front of your shirt. So this is called Portuguese knitting. It is the traditional, I mean, the stitches are worked basically the same. Actually, if you want to click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner, I'll link to my playlist of Portuguese knitting videos. But if you hold the yarn like this is Portuguese knitting. It's a traditional way of knitting in lots of different countries. The name Portuguese knitting has stuck. So we can switch to the other camera now, and we'll talk about different styles of knitting. That was Portuguese, that was one. The next one is, if you hold the yarn in your right hand like this and you knit by throwing like this, this style of knitting is typically called English or American or throwing. Whoops, I just switched. English, American, or throwing. Now, if you knit with the yarn in your right hand and you don't let go of the right needle when you knit, this style is called flicking or lever knitting. And I'll give you a link to my flicking videos. This is a natural style of knitting for me. If you hold the yarn in your left hand and knit this way, I'm going to guess you're way better at it than I am. This is not my natural knitting style. This way is called continental or picking. I can get into the swing of it. I like continental knitting. Okay, if you knit with the yarn in either hand, but when you approach a knit stitch, it is twisted. A knit stitch, for most of us, the right leg is in front. A knit stitch for a combination knitter, the right leg is in back. And so you knit through what is the leading leg. I have to twist these stitches to get them the right direction. And so it looks like you're knitting through the back loop. Combination knitting is quite different, but it's a common way of knitting in a lot of parts of the world. You're always knitting into the leading leg, and the stitches are twisted, and so the leading leg is actually kind of through the back loop. And one more thing that's interesting about combination knitting is that purl stitches are wrapped the other way. So the resulting work ends up looking the same, but there's kind of a different way to get there. And there's more information about, I am not an expert in combination knitting. I'm able to give the basics here, but more information about combination knitting on Annie Modissett's website, and I will definitely link to that in the video description field. She can tell you a lot more about it because this is the way that she knits. I know there are a few things, sometimes patterns have to be modified for twisted stitches, little things like that. Okay, the last style I want to show you, I'm just getting to the end of this row. Whoops, I'm not going to turn the work because the last style I want to show you is mirror knitting. And if you hold the work in your right hand and an empty needle in your left hand, that's mirror knitting. It's also sometimes called backwards knitting. And this is not my natural way of knitting, but I can demonstrate it. I can also give you a link. Whoops, I think I'm wrapping backwards. No, I'm not. I'm just wrapping awkwardly. I'll give you a link to my mirror knitting video because this is an excellent thing for people who don't want to purl. If you want to knit the opposite direction instead of purling, that's an option here. It is also considered by some left-handed folks to be true left-handed knitting. And I can see what they're saying because the actions are, knitting onto an empty needle in your right hand is very much like a right-handed person knitting onto an empty needle in their right hand. But I'll have to link to the video because in the video, I think I'm better at backwards knitting than I am right now. I haven't practiced backwards knitting. I practiced a little bit to get this video going, but it does feel pretty awkward right now. Oh well. It's obviously not my primary style of knitting. So those are the 5 basic Portuguese, American English throwing, continental picking, whoops, I skipped flicking or lever knitting, combination, and mirror knitting. I think that's actually 6, was it? Anyway, if you have comments or you want to let me know about some other styles, feel free to leave a comment. I look forward to reading those. Good luck.